Hey, we're back. I got both hands inside this box this time. October 16th here, Wednesday, 2024. We record inside the box with your boy BC, and you're looking at that Spaniard himself, or at least that's what people think he is, nationality-wise.
Nice. Serious? Where'd that come from?
Rafa Nadal Bartholomew,
No.
which
Okay.
did you go and get that H cut? All of them, right?
Yeah, well, not all of them, I mean, I cut some on my own self, but
You kept that friar crotch goatee going, right?
yeah. Gotta do it. Yeah, I got a trim. It was 3 months, man. It's a long time. I know. I see you're out here. How often are your shape ups, Brian?
I haven't been clean. I've been clean shaven once in the pandemic, and then not before that until like 2017. So it's been a while.
I'm always talking about that. You remember you used to like shave a hard line into your head. You were,
hard line after hard line. Yeah, I did. You know who's doing a few hard lines these days on Thursdays? There we go. Yeah, wow, class. Oscar. Hey, are you into clapback Thursdays? Or are you more you're willing to clap the cheeks any day of the week? Where are you at?
I don't even know what platform Oscar does clapback Thursday on, but I've heard of it.
Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I try to stay off Instagram. It's all breastises, bad trouble.
Do not hit the circle button on your Instagram page around the lady. Do not do that. Yes. And listen, ladies, do not ask your man what is on the USB stick. Do not.
I'm not even trying to see it. And it's like if you linger an extra millisecond, they got you.
All right. What is new with you, Rafe? Before we get into these really important boxing topics that the world
not a goddamn thing, Brian. It's nothing going on. We spoke 3 days ago. What would be happening?
But I'm into your life. I'm looking at your Michaela Mayer.
I ain't into my life.
Behind you. All right.
I got my Jollibee shoebox, which I appreciate. Came with a little Scully that I can wear when it gets a little colder. And
Jollibee, is that the fast food chain from the Philippines?
Yes, it is. You could get some next Monday when you're in New York. I mean, they have several in the city. There's one in Times Square now. Queens, Jersey City. I mean, you're running out of excuses here. And okay. Don't be a bitch and eat the spaghetti. All right, it's sweet.
Wow.
It will be different, but I love that. I've driven to Toronto for that spaghetti.
Whoa.
We don't have one in Detroit. It's either Toronto or Chicago.
What's that city right over the Detroit line? Is that Windsor?
Windsor, baby, Windsor.
What's that known for? Like cheap cigarettes and stuff?
Now it's just kind of another growing sort of cool what's it called? Canadian city. It used to be known. I remember when I was younger, before Detroit opened up their downtown casinos to compete, it was like the entire sort of eastern part of the Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan. They're just like, we're going to Windsor because you could drink there in the Canadian casinos at like 19, and they had strip clubs and a bunch of stuff. I never got to go at that age, but it's still burned into my brain as this coming of age experience, this coming experience that a handful of people I knew had.
How do you spell that word? It begins with a C. That's what I want to know. We had a place like that in our East Corridor called Montreal. It was a drive, but you could get stuff done there at 18 and 19. I won't talk about that stuff on air, though. I mean, Club Super Sex. People know. They know, right? Yeah.
Did you ever run into the referee to the Stars? Was it Michael Bradley?
Michael Griffin, heavyweight referee.
All right. Yes, of course. He's
whose siblings are involved in organized crime, and he owns a bar in Montreal. Yes.
Sounds like a solid dude, and he clearly is a solid ref. I mean, he's one referee you never feel bad about when you see him in there for a big heavyweight fight.
Never. Because here's what you need for heavyweight boxing.
Presence.
You need a physical specimen who can get between them, right? And you need somebody who's not going to take shit. I don't think Michael Griffin takes that stuff.
He either his underworld reputation precedes him,
yes,
or he just has a bearing about him that, even fighters who I probably would, kick his ass in a fight, still respect him in the ring. Also, he can dock points from them. That helps. But what about, I hear what you're saying about being physical enough to get in, sort of separate guys. Well, you know where I'm going with this. The most legendary, perhaps, heavyweight referee of our lifetimes, Lil Ass Mills Lane.
Yes, it is Mills Lane. Shout out, right?
The
Shout out to
judge.
Mills Lane's sons who promote Zheli Zhang there out of New Jersey, right?
Shoot, there you go. I thought they were from like Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, well, Zhang lives in Jersey. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. So they're just taking his money from over there.
Well, he used to be a Dino Duva guy. You know, he was
Somebody's like, if you're a boxer, somebody's got their hands in your pockets, and maybe looking for a T-bone steak in there.
Wow. I mean, I'll just ask the butcher. But ultimately, Rafe, you know, I love that all of our old jokes are coming back. And dude, do you ever wonder what happened to future Chinese heavyweight champion Taishan Dong?
Oh, Taishan. Of course. Well, he's in WWE, isn't he?
No, he tried out, and I don't think it worked out. I don't know what he's doing now. Remember, there was that lawyer that ran into him in LA.
That's right.
And became his manager. Yeah.
It was like walking around Montecito Heights and just saw him there. It's like, you look like something.
I used to love to interview Oscar De La Hoya and ask him about his dong, and he'd get all excited. And then I'd ask him about Taishan, and he'd get just as excited. It was great. Yeah, there you go. That's my jokes for the opening of this show. All right, we record this a few days after, of course, everything that went down in Saudi over the weekend. Beterbiev-Bivol. I was a little emotional in our Saturday post-fight show. So luckily, Rafe, you were there to bring me back down to earth. I will tell you what I have discovered. I don't rewatch fights, you know, for business purposes. I like to rewatch them for entertainment purposes on YouTube when I'm a little bit half in the bag. Yeah. But I will say I watched this like 4.5 times, and you were right. This fight was awesome. It was extreme technical, high-speed chess brilliance between two. You know, this is like when you say this is Russian boxing at its finest, or you go even further and go, this is like Mark Shanuka always says, this is top rank, this is boxing, whatever that catchphrase is. This was really the best of what boxing could give us. Not a full-blown war, but the responsibility defensively mixed with the high pace, mixed with two superstars trying to figure each other out. I got off my soapbox of, man, Bivol got a raw deal, and I discovered that, yeah, you could have scored this fight any way you wanted, and either way, were you not highly entertained? I was highly entertained, brother.
Yeah, I mean, here you are, just like in your full Daniel Dubois glory. Were you not entertained?
Yes.
No, it was a good fight. I mean, you know, the way you're describing it made me think a little bit of, I don't know, I say like the first Triple G Canelo fight, where it didn't go exactly as a lot of people thought. You know, like Triple G, like there were no knockdowns. There were, you know, it wasn't action packed. But the skill in the ring, the ways that they tried to adjust to each other, having some success, failing, the little moments of tension that when each fighter, you know, looked like they had finally broken through, but then, you know, then their opponent, who's also great, comes back and steals the initiative, or at least, you know, stops the rally. That sort of is how this felt, and it didn't have as many fireworks, or, you know, it didn't turn into an instant classic. It's not Kawi Holyfield, right? I mean, it's like I'm Emmanuel Stewart was not like, you know, in heaven looking down on us, giving us oh my God, look at this. But it was awesome. It was a great, I think it was a great fight. Just because, you know, we don't get to see fighters that good against each other very often in boxing, and it's always worth watching, and it's always, you can never really predict how it's going to play out, whether it turns into a whitewash like Crawford and Spence was, when it's, oh my God, there's a lot of separation between these guys, or this one where it's like, well, they both fought their fight, they both had success, and let's just run it back.
Yeah, I'm with you. When you said whitewash, I'm trying to think, when was the last time two American-born white guys got together and put on a huge fight? I don't know. I don't really know. Does that ever happen? I don't know.
A huge fight? Especially American. Yeah, no,
I'm like, yeah.
You're the Jason Litzau scholar. I mean, you'd have to.
Yeah, I am a big Litzau guy. You know, do you respect, in hindsight, Irishman John Duddy, who put on some really fun New York City based fights?
I regret that he never got to fight that big Cesar Chavez Jr. match that they were always building up to, because they're both was
Did they
Duddy
not fight? I thought they fought each
maybe
other.
no, you're right. Yeah. Julio beat his ass. Sorry. Whatever, mind.
I think the peak John Duddy experience, and by the way, he is an actor now and seems to be doing well as I wait for Box Rec to load here. Here we go. So he retired at 29-2 in 2010. His last fight was a 12-round unanimous decision loss to Chavez Jr. in the Alamo Dome, including one judge scoring that 120-108, by the way. Wow,
I mean, a rare Chavez Jr. masterclass.
But I will say peak John Duddy experience here for me. Do you remember this fight? MSG Theater. It got replayed on MSG, the network, about 1 million times. 2006, Yuri Boy Campos, Luis Ramon Campos, the legend, who's probably still fighting somewhere at the moment. They had a 12-round absolute war. Do you remember that fight? It was one fight before Duddy stopped number one daddy, Anthony Bonsante of the Contender.
I remember it, like you said, exactly because it was replayed on the MSG network so much. Yeah. And I think it was, I saw that fight probably 5 times before I even was following the sport that closely. It was just something on TV. I was like, oh, all right.
Well, we ended up in whitewashed John Duddyville, but back to the fight. I ultimately had the same score, Rafe, 115-113 Bivol after multiple watches, but I did switch some of the rounds that I thought I got wrong, or I watched it again. I said this on Morning Combat and I believe it. I was trying to make the case for the person I scored it against in a lot of these rounds, and I could make that case. It was that close of a fight. Did this change your scoring or your perception of the fight now, days later, having taken some time to digest?
There are a couple aspects of the fight that I think I would reconsider trying to score it again. One, and I don't know if it would actually come out that much differently, but it's still, they were little notes that, clicked in my head. I was like, all right, that makes sense. And that one was that it's very possible that the people who favored Beterbiev in this fight, like I did on the first watch, and like I generally do.
You generally favor the Russian, to be fair.
No, well, I mean, I couldn't lose in this one, but I mean, like, no, I didn't. Whatever. But those moments where Artur Beterbiev was closing distance late in rounds and appeared to be affecting Bivol, not even when he wasn't landing clean punches all the time, but just battering him against the ropes, and then Bivol would relocate. Beterbiev would catch up. Sometimes he'd cut the ring off better than others, and basically look like he was starting to turn the tide. Were people who gave Beterbiev credit in those moments, especially some of the earlier moments when, look, he's not breaking through all the way, but he's starting to put some water in the basement, so to speak. He's accumulating some fatigue and damage that probably would, and I think did show up a little bit in rounds 10 and 11. But anyway, so I think that it's possible that people felt the tension of those moments, knowing what Beterbiev has done to other opponents in those situations in the past. Usually, when once a guy starts going from spot to spot against the ropes, that's sort of the signal that this fight might be over within 2 or 3 rounds. And to Bivol's credit, that never happened. But so I took a little bit of I think that was a good point, that it's possible that myself and other people who scored the fight for Beterbiev might have been giving him too much credit for the pressure in those moments, which was of debatable efficacy. Like I wouldn't say it was ineffective, but it wasn't enough to win those rounds. Or are we just being like, oh my God, he's in the corner with a killer? That means, that's it. You got to give it to him.
I think the judges personally, but they had a much better view than I did, obviously. I think they overvalued at times that forward pressure that was backing up Bivol, and I felt Bivol was smothering a great majority of those, maybe outside of like rounds 10 and 11 when Beterbiev was finally in full downhill mode. But at the same time, you have to look at the totality in those rounds and you say, is Beterbiev's pressure mixed with the fact that he's punching Bivol's gloves into his face and he got swollen that way? Does that score on the level of maybe some earlier moments where Bivol had some separation, landed some cleaner shots? That's a tough spot to be in. Those judges are on an island to begin with. Forget all the corruption angles, forget all the incompetence angles. They ain't checking Twitter, Rafe. They're out there by themselves. So, I mean, you know, things happen.
I mean, look, they shouldn't be on Twitter. They should, whether they suck or not. We should no. I don't. Well, they shouldn't be on Twitter in general. But like, they also shouldn't be on it during the fight. We don't want them influenced by anything other than the promoters and the all the other people who are paying for their meals and
the
flying them around the
Sultans
world.
swing out there.
Whatever else Turkey gave them over the weekend. Other than those influences, we want our judges to be completely objective and non-partial. But no, Brian, I was going to say one thing I do think could affect judging, at ringside compared to how we're watching it at home is so even, Beterbiev, some of his punches land, even the ones that don't land for clean scoring when they're landing on the gloves or on the arms. You can hear them through the screen, right? I mean, there is a thud when he connects to a slab of meat, Rocky style. And if we are hearing that ourselves while watching the fight, through a TV broadcast or a streaming, whatever we're watching on, then imagine what it sounds like to the judges. Like if you hear that sound and go, oh, a little bit, just watching it on TV, I could imagine those having an even greater effect on judges. Now, you could also say it's judges' job not to just be swayed by like the sound of like, oh man, he's fapping hard, but like
sounds like a clapback Thursday to me.
Yeah. But at the same time, like usually that does mean something in a fight.
It does. It really does. What a great fight. What a great performance by both. I don't want any of that to be missed by potential sour grapes or in the moment reactions. Man, I love this sport. So I updated my CBS Sports pound for pound, which, means whatever you give it value. Could be nothing. My rankings didn't change after this fight. Here's my top 5. I want your reaction on what you think I'm missing here. Number 1 for me still is Alexander Usyk. Number 2, Naoya Inoue. 3, Bud Crawford. 4, Beterbiev. 5, Bivol. Coming out of this light heavyweight summit, do you have any issues with the way I went? And I know you're not a big pound for pound guy. A lot of people you got to choose your weapon early and say, I either care about this mythical math or it's BS to me. What do you think about that top 5?
Well, I am a pound for pound guy. I think about it. I care about it. But at the end of the day, I don't care what you think about it. I don't care what the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board thinks. I don't care what the Ring magazine, which isn't even a magazine anymore, right? I don't care what they think about it. And I don't care, honestly, I'm just like, this is what I think. I think these guys are better than these guys. I don't give a fuck what you think. But it's still a fun debate. Brian, yours sounds pretty good. For me, I'm at the point where I'd say, can't we just drop the pretense and say that Naoya Inoue is the best fighter in boxing? I mean,
oh, interesting. So you're an Usyk guy, and you're basically
so
like
damn good, so dominant, and has done it. Has gone up. I mean, I know, so has Crawford, and so has Usyk gone up in weight. But there's something. Monster is a very good nickname for him. He even seems like he's different from other great fighters who are different from everyone. I mean, it sounds crazy to even be saying this, comparing, but like he seems that special. He seems like one who the people who really study this in 50 years, the Cliff Rhodes grandchildren, the family tradition has been passed down to them.
The hashtag hairy grab heads.
Right.
Yes.
They're going to look back on all of our boxing lives and say, you know what? Inoue was really the cream of the crop. These other fighters were great. He was better. I don't know. He's that good, man. He doesn't have the scalp on his resume, of course, like Errol Spence or Tyson Fury or some of those other big names, or certainly AJ. AJ Anthony Joshua, the birthplace anyway. No, I just feel like he's so dominant, and I mean, there's that means something, and he keeps doing it to whoever. Undisputed fights, whoever they put against him, they'd say, "Oh, this is finally we're going to learn something new." No, we usually don't. Only getting surprised by Nonito's last stand was he
did break that eye socket. And you do have to understand what Roy said about how hard you have to hit a man to break that eye socket. By the way, I want people to realize who never watched Naoya Inoue versus Nonito Donaire Part 1, Dinero from the World Boxing Super Series main event, final, whatever. I think that is, it's not quite Pac Marquez 4. It's not quite Corrales Castillo 1, obviously, but I think that fight deserves to be in like the pantheon of the greatest fights of the last 20 years. Just absolute awesome. But you're right. Outside of that, and maybe outside of getting dropped by Luis Neri, who is a legit badass puncher, that guy is almost unflappable. Do you think that me and some others, and I like that you're going against the grain because you are an Usyk day one-ish type guy. Are we over romanticizing from a pound for pound standpoint Usyk's placement because he's the smaller cruiserweight who went up, took all 4 titles, and almost knocked down and almost stopped Tyson Fury?
No, I don't think that anyone who has Usyk first is really overreacting or overstating things too much. It's just because what Usyk is doing, no, in the sort of the during the Klitschko heavyweight era and on, we have not seen a smaller heavyweight, sort of old style sized heavyweight, 6'3", 220 pounds, be able to beat the best of the very big men. They'll outbox them for 6 rounds. They'll get almost to the finish line, and something happens, and it just they can't quite get there. And Usyk has risen to that occasion at an incredible degree of difficulty time and time again. I guess it's just that you can't pick apart. There's almost nothing to pick apart, I would say, with either fighter. Be like, oh, these are their flaws. I mean, not that I don't think any of them is perfect, but and they can all be beat on on a bad night or if they get old or whatever. But it's just sort of like to me, it's like you're just picking like who seems the most like the farthest, like the furthest out on the scale. Like, we're never going to see this again. We're probably never going to see anything like a lot of those guys again, or not for a very long time. But Inoue just seems farther ahead of the field than everybody else.
I want to encourage you. I don't know if you watch content like this on the Plus, over there on ESPN, they have that new Top Rank series. This Boxing Life, I think it's called. I don't know if you've seen that yet. I've been playing it up a lot, not just because it's brilliant and not just because our boy, the corner man, PR maven to the stars at Top Rank, Evan Korn, plays a huge role in that series. He plays himself, by the way. He's playing with himself, probably off camera. But I will say that their episode following Inoue to the Tokyo Dome for the Luis Neri fight, before, during, and after, we got to see a side of Inoue we never see because of the language barrier, because he's in Japan. They had cameras following him, like out to eat with his friends, talking about his place in boxing. Like, it's just kind of brilliant stuff you don't normally see. And I came away from that going, man, Inoue's cooler than I thought, and maybe even more badass than I ever imagined. So I like that stance you're taking. Do you think people can still say, sorry, guys, but I saw what Bud Crawford did to Spence, and then he moved up and beat Madrimov barely, but in a tough fight, put him at number 1? Because I think the inactivity to some degree slows Bud down in this category.
I think it's fair to, like, if you want to, the Spence fight was a little over a year ago at this point. It's been a while, but no, I have no problem with someone who says Crawford is still the best. I mean, many people, Brian, many
guys
are saying that Terrence Crawford is the BEST. And guess what? For much of my boxing watching adulthood, I have been one of them.
Okay.
To me, it just feels like it seems like we're doing the thing where we're waiting to give it to Inoue because he's a little bit younger than these guys, and he'll probably be around longer to hold the spot for a few more years after they're gone. And they've been on pound for pound list, not Usyk, but Crawford has been on pound for pound list probably a little bit longer than Inoue, although he got on him pretty early in his career too. It seems like he's waiting in line.
Yeah. Crawford had pushback once he got to welterweight by some people because he wasn't fighting super elite guys when he was on the wrong side of the street.
Being frozen out. I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
then he fought the guy. Then he beat Sean Porter and ended his career. And then he fought the guy who beat all those other guys that they said that Bud should have fought. And we saw how that worked out. Like, yeah, what's the question now?
No, I got you. And by the way, I do think that Sean Porter performance from Bud is even better than people realize, because I thought that may have been the best Sean Porter performance I've ever seen. Like, he came out with a game plan. He made Bud have to work for it. He was hard to hit. He was elusive. And then when Bud sits down late and starts walking you down, suddenly Kenny Porter's thrown in, standing on the apron. You know what I'm saying? You don't agree with those conspiracy theories that Sean purposely retired afterwards to spite his dad. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know enough about that, man, but I would
Yeah.
just say, Sean Porter, we good friends.
Yeah. I love your
I love
daddy.
your
Yeah.
daddy, and
Yeah.
let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Hey, let's get it on a second time. Beterbiev versus Bivol. All signs tell you it's going to happen because Turkey's the money man. He says, yes, let's do it again. He had Bivol by 2 points live. Bivol wants it again in a big way. Beterbiev did not seem to back up a step after the fight when asked, although I haven't seen any Beterbiev interviews since. I saw a really good sit down with the journalist, Marcos Villegas, with Bivol the day after.
Because
And
in my understanding of journalism school, journalism method, not that boxing and ethics, really don't mix. But
no,
I don't know if you're supposed to take trips on someone else's dime to Riyadh.
well, are you like, if you're going to do that, at least pull a Radio Raheem and record a video thanking Bob Arum profusely for sending you to Macau, right? Is that what you're saying?
Also, this is not. I got much love for Marcos. We were like when we were in LA, we'd see each other at fights all the time. We hung out on fight weekends sometimes. He's to me, he's one of the true good guys, and I love seeing him. Continue. I mean, man, he works hard to chase everyone around and get all these interviews. It feels like it's fun. I'm sure it's fun. It also feels like a shitty grind that would just eat me up and spit me out. But anyway,
to quote a famous corner man, that Mexican American journalist, he works hard, right?
And also I don't think Fight Hub. I don't think he's out here calling it like the site for hard hitting boxing journalism. This was of course our boy, the attorney Richard Dwyer, who once said during a video, Marcos Villegas, the journalist.
Indeed. So everybody wants some. I want some too. Famously sung by David Lee Roth, and great. They had a great music video inside the 80s movie Better Off Dead about that song. Did you ever see Better Off Dead? Come on.
I think I have seen Better Off Dead, but I just am not up on Van Halen, my friend.
I wish you had lived a different life. You know what I mean? I wish sometimes, but then again, you got that, underground 90s New York City based hip hop scene on lockdown, dude. But let's get back to this rematch. I feel like we're going to see it early 25. And if we're also going to see Benavidez versus Morrell and a lot of rumors that we could see Fundora Spence, I think the first few months of 2025 could be magic, right? Let's talk math. Let's talk boxing. The equation works out. I feel like, but I'm the optimistic boxing fan who's always going to find that silver linings playbook, right? Wow, I'm getting all over the place here. Wow. All right. Rafa, tell me if I've been sniffing glue. This rematch has no other way to go but to be twice as exciting as their amazing first fight, because both guys are going to look at, because don't forget, Beterbiev said in the microphone afterwards, I didn't fight well. I only won because Allah picked me, right? Like, if both guys look at what they could have done better and did wrong or what have you, I think they're going to come to a conclusion of, I need to be busier. I need to attack more. This could be friggin' fireworks. And I've been arguing since the first fight that Bivol stayed in there and almost fought like the bigger man because he landed seemingly the better, cleaner, more, shots that are snapping Beterbiev's head back. I'm not saying Bivol can take the smoke if Beterbiev goes full caveman early in this fight, but do you have those same expectations I do, that they know the stakes? These guys are winners. They are warriors. They are going to come into this second fight saying, no matter what, I'm getting my hand raised. Come on, be the pessimist and tell me where I'm wrong.
Look, Brian, I hope you are right. And I think that is one of the possibilities. It's honestly how I think Dmitry Bivol would have the greatest chance of winning a rematch and getting the, and sort of correcting the record as people who thought he won the first fight would say. Because to me, the rounds where Bivol was most impressive, most successful, were those early, that first part of the 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Those were, even though I understand he got hurt, and maybe as hurt as he was, in the entire fight, except for maybe a moment in the 11th round. at the end of the 7th round. But the first 2.5 minutes of that round 7 or 2:20, whatever, Bivol looks incredible. It's like he realized he was starting to get pushed back, and we were starting to get some downhill momentum against him, and so he came out and fought not toe for toe, not toe to toe in a stupid way, but outboxed him and really sat down on his power shots. Started clipping him with that left hook, backed up Beterbiev, and even though Beterbiev, wasn't, I don't think, badly hurt by that shot, it changed the momentum that he started bringing into that round. I think he was looking to really start turning up the heat in that fight and try and take over. And it set back that moment when Beterbiev could have that kind of success for at least 3 rounds. When we saw it eventually start to catch up in 10. But I thought that Bivol looked so good. And I think that if he was even more aggressive, if he pressed the issue more and took a few more risks, yes, there's a chance that it goes wrong and he loses by knockout and everyone is like, stupid, you should have boxed. Yes, but I also think I could see him stopping Beterbiev if he stays Beterbiev is a great fighter. If there's anything that if you're gonna nitpick on him, it is that he's been knocked down. He has been shaken up by several other good punchers at 175, and he's not that hard to hit. Bivol is fast enough, can deliver enough punches in combination to kind of to sort of, I think, to get him going. It may be more risk than he should take, but I could see him. That's how I could see him pulling this off. To me, the other version of the fight where it looks like something very similar to what we saw the first time, which I wouldn't complain about at all, but where Bivol plays it a little safer, stays. I mean, I'm not saying he has to jump on him at round 1. We're not talking about Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 2 here, where he does a whole mind games. And it's like, I'm going to stand in the middle of the ring and walk him down, beat the bully down, whatever. No,
that's what men do.
Yeah. But, Bivol could still, try, wait a few rounds, sort of, because if he's quicker early and can win those rounds easy, might as well bank him. But I think that if I just could see that's the path to victory I see for him, is sort of stepping up and sort of really trusting his own ability to outbox and stand in the middle of the fire and not, or, stand in the shower and not get wet, or not get so wet that he gets knocked out himself. And if it goes the other way, then you're basically putting it back in the judge's hands in what would probably look like a similar fight. Now, a super cynical way to look at that for Bivol is that, well, look, he's going to come in with some momentum, some public sympathy and momentum just for being the fighter who, I think, enough commentators, fans, there's enough noise that Bivol should have gotten a better shake on those scorecards and maybe deserve to win the fight, that he could come in, fight the same exact fight and get it just in the sort of like the sort of the way that the boomerang effect of boxing judges being affected by, oh, well, we know what we should have given more credit last time, so we're going to catch up this time in the rematch. We see that happen a lot. It could work out that way, but me, I want the fight that you're talking about, Brian. I want the fight where Bivol is like, no. I've been through this once. I survived it. I think I can get to this guy before he gets to me.
Yes. And I think if you're Beterbiev, you've got to look at that jab has to become a weapon. The body shots need to be there. And you kind of argued in our immediate reaction post-show that Bivol's speed and countering ability was probably taking that away from him. And I do think that's true. But, Beterbiev can be hurt, but he's no chump. He's a warrior. If I'm Beterbiev, I commit to eating more shots than I had to the first fight to slow Bivol down. Go to the body, back him up with that jab, try to corner him more. Dude, this could be explosive. It could be amazing. But that's not really what I want to talk about right now. Beterbiev-Bivol part 2. I want to talk to you about, some could argue the MVP of that first fight. Some could argue the biggest pariah of the fight. Ekaterina Bivol, aka Katie Bivol, the ex/estranged wife of Dmitry. Now, you and I haven't shied away from talking about this. They had a messy divorce. She's planning to take him to court for not paying a certain level of child support. She's claiming a lot of other things, abuses too. She did a live watch stream of the fight, openly cheering for Beterbiev. And then I played this on, have you seen this shit on Monday's MK? She was full on celebrating karma, basically clowning her husband for losing a split decision or majority decision in this fantastic fight. That's some of the spiciest, most insane, like grudge carrying work we have seen since your Jen Mosley reference when she spurned on old Shane to, at age 39, come through with the performance of a lifetime against Tony Margarito, become the welterweight champion again, overcome those heavy hand wraps before the fight that Tone had. And really, basically, because she talked all that shit and was like, take the money. You're washed. You ain't worth shit anyway. You're going to lose that fight. And Mosley went out there and did the thing. I got to ask you a two-part question, but the first one's more important. Did all of this drama and BS of the divorce and Katie just making this personal drive Bivol to the greatest performance of his career?
I don't think so. No, if anything, it probably held him back. Also, Bivol has. It was not surprising how good Bivol looked. He looks like a great fighter most of the time. He's out, and he's risen to the occasion against better fighters. I don't think that. Anyway, no, I'm not giving her credit for what Bivol did in the ring. I hesitate to even give Bivol's. Bivol's daddy in the corner. It's only one person in that ring who can take credit for what happens, and that's the fighter.
Okay, but when you saw that video of her with the translated comments celebrating her husband's demise,
and then
ridiculous. She showed video
she's disgracing herself. I'm sorry.
Oh, in theory, yeah. In reality,
no,
I'm sorry.
In life,
and in reality, yes. But boxing, as we know, is full of shit, man. I used to love this sport, right? Athletes sleep with a lot of women in 2013, right? You can get loose in turn 4 in boxing on a regular basis. Was there a part of you that was like, you know what, that was evil and absurd, but I respect the hustle. I respect the commitment, because she was showing pictures of Bivol's boys cheering against him. Dude, that was some evil, dark shit. But at the same time, in boxing, I wasn't surprised.
I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I don't really if she wanted to creep on Bivol and kneecap him, galooly him, do some actual real bad boys move in silence stuff, I would respect that. I don't, if you're like, I think she's just doing it for engagement now, like everybody else. Like if you take your grievances and play them online to get likes and whatever, maybe she can get a deal. She's a good looking woman. Like I don't care what, good for you. Go do your thing. But that's not respectable. I don't respect it.
Wow, you don't respect that level of box. What if I said to you that I have secured her to do a live stream for the rematch with you and I and a Russian translator?
I'd have a fun. I'd love to do it with her. I'd love to do it with her. Is all I would say.
Wow, do what? Do what?
I'd love to call a fight with her.
Would you say that Beterbiev ahead of the rematch should go full on WWE mind games and have her as a corner person in the rematch?
the Miss Elizabeth look.
Yes.
I love the idea, Brian. Artur Beterbiev is just not that man, right? I mean, we see what he's about, and trolling is not it. Like he doesn't want to speak to. I don't know. It would be fun to talk to Mark Ramsey or the magician cut man guy Russ Amber,
who was not in the corner, by the way. Was not in the corner. I don't know why.
Well, maybe now's the time. Maybe he's cast out and wants to talk some shit. No, I hope not. But anyway, it'd be fun to talk to like the folks who actually work with him. Like, what does he talk? Does he talk to you even? No, have you seen him talk yet? How many years has it been? It was like, no, he just goes in there and punches people out. We get paid off it, so it's cool. He's not going to do it, right? I mean, do you think there's any chance that the stoic ass Artur Beterbiev is going to, engage in these hijinks?
No, he's a very religious man. I've interviewed him twice. The first time he was way more fun and witty than I ever imagined, but he still sticks to his principles. And then anyone that saw my interview with him leading up to this fight, he didn't have anything he wanted to tell me, but I respect that because that's who he is. So I do not believe that he would engage in this. But do you believe, based on her celebration saying, Arthur, that she will DM slide him? Because there's no other show that's willing to have this conversation, and it needs to be had.
I think it could happen because once you dive into, selling your life and your soul to the internet, there's no bottom. You will keep trying. You'll see, what's the next thing that's going to get some attention?
OnlyFans, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you there soon enough, Bear.
Only pipes for you. And I can't wait till we get our only pipes going. And then we got to be like, guess whose pipe this is? Here's donate here. You know what I mean? It's weird, right? Yeah, what a time. I love weirdness in boxing. You understand that this is what you and I getting together and podcasting in reality is all about. Yeah, we'll give you the pricks and the previews and the stuff, but we don't care about the picks as much as the pricks, bro.
We'll give you the pricks?
Yeah, we care about the pricks, brother. All right, I got to talk to you about another rematch because we're at the 2-month mark for this December. Not undisputed because of boxing shenanigans, but Usyk-Fury II is like, don't ever let me complain about rematch clauses except for Haney Cambosis and except for every other time it happens when it's absolute bullshit. But like that first fight between them was so amazing earlier this year. I love, getting loose at night and putting that on the TV, putting the headphones on, listening to some 70s music and just rewatching that classic. But we get a second one. And what we have here, we have Usyk this week putting out that great video going, Grady Belly, I hope you're training, my friend Grady Belly. And then you have Tyson Fury telling every interviewer possible, no judges this time, going for the knockout. Okay, people say that a lot. Freddie has been predicting Manny will break the knockout streak for 24 consecutive fights. And then he did against Matisse. He did, finally.
Freddie wasn't there.
Dude, when you hear Fury talk about F this, I got to knock him out. Do you pick up BC Optimistic Silver Linings playbook? I don't know if you saw the nudes from that or not. You know what I mean? I'm not making RB's Hope Solo jokes. It's not where I'm going. What I really want to know is, are you fired the hell up for this rematch under that same question I asked you about Beterbiev-Bivol 2, that it can be even more action-packed and wild and crazy?
Hell yes. And I think that with Fury, one, I think that I don't Fury could always be bluffing. He likes to bluff. He likes to play mind. What the fuck?
Reggie Jackson, come on. He's the third member of the show until we get that soundboard.
What's up, Reggie? Mr. October. It's your month.
Yeah, this is month, dude. Give him respect, please.
All right. No, I think I think that I agree with Fury that he probably should come in and try and put on a lot more pressure on Usyk and really slop it up with him. I think Usyk is going to train for that. I think Usyk, probably trained for that the first time because Fury can give you so many looks, and I think Usyk is the type to prepare and have something in his bag for whatever comes at him. But seeing I think that would be thrilling. And I honestly, I also think just the stones on Usyk. I mean, that was the moment to just walk away with all the chips. He's old enough. He just did something truly incredible. I mean,
yes.
Like Fury is like, we put Fury into mythical matchups with every great heavyweight ever. And we're like, I don't know, man. Fury's not as great historically, but would he win? And like he went and Usyk just went and beat that guy, almost stopped him. And nobody, and there was not a peep of, I think Fury, I think Usyk, Usyk should have won. That was a Fury. Fury won. No. There were no dumb scorecards out there. I'm sure there was some, but it was everyone. It was an incredible performance, and that would be such a storybook moment to walk away on. And he's like, no, I'll do it again. I honestly, I think I don't know if I would be willing to risk that if I were him, because it's such a huge legacy moment, and Fury could definitely come back and could win this second fight. And I love that they're doing it. I mean, that's why they're men and we're whatever blobs.
Indeed. That's why I'm scratching my cat's back during a live podcast right now. But only the back. Only backs. Why? Because we all thought Usyk was going to be too small for heavyweight. And the big complaint I had. Didn't. Well, not me. I told Eddie Hearn he wouldn't, but we all wondered. But the biggest complaint I have in the two Anthony Josh fights, and maybe to some degree in this in this fight with Fury, although I do think Fury fought like the big man at times. Why do guys outside of Derek Chisora, who made Usyk work on levels that other heavyweights haven't been able to, why don't guys like AJ and Fury commit more to leaning on him, making him carry their weight, slopping up the fight, and not letting him get in a flow with the skill and the variety of punches? Is that because Usyk doesn't let them? What's going on here?
I think it's partly because Usyk doesn't let him. I remember when he was first moving up to heavyweight, he gave some interviews and they were translated, so I take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I remember seeing him talk about even though it was only going to be another 20 pounds, building up that extra size and strength in a way that he would be able to use, where he'd still be fast in the ring or faster than his opposition, but also be able to hold up to opponents who are going to weigh 30, 40 pounds more than him easy, and try and lean on him and try and tire him out that way. And I think that he's looking out for it. I think that Fury can pull it off more. I think that he can, because Fury is like, he could be like an octopus in there. He just starts wrapping, folds around you. It's like the blob is on top of you, and all of a sudden
he's got 8 dicks. Yeah, and he uses them all. That's great.
I don't know what kind of anime manga you're watching these days, Brian, but anything's possible in that world. I think Fury can apply more pressure in that way. I think he will try to. Why? It seemed like the obvious way to the one big thing he could do more of that could really give Usyk trouble. And that was my fear for Usyk. That was what I thought could, lead to a Fury winning in the first fight, was if Fury did that. And just, there's only so much of big old sweaty Tyson Fury leaning on you and punching, like you're smothering your work, getting in little cute shots, doing what he does on top of you that we've seen fighters be able to take. I think that he could probably even wear Usyk down that way if Usyk allows it to happen. And I think Usyk is going to have some ideas about, how he can actually, at least when he needs to summon the strength, get Tyson Fury off of him and get the fight back on the terms that he wants it to be on. I think AJ can't do that. He doesn't know how. He doesn't have the experience in the ring. And when he tries to hold, it's always awkward when he's in trouble against, say, Dubois, or back in the day against Ruiz. It's just not part of his game, and it may not be something he can learn at this point in his career. But Fury has it, and Fury can do it.
Dude, how mismanaged has Andy Ruiz's career been post blowing
You're blaming
up?
that on a manager?
No, I said how mismanaged, not on a managerial sense, but on a personal sense. Where did you see that DAZN put out or I don't know if it was a DAZN produced thing, but Akim Barak of DAZN fame put out a video where they were like, we're going out to lunch with the champ. I'm like, which champ are we doing here? And then Andy Ruiz gets out of the vehicle, and then they go right to this like big mouth, massive burger place. And he's like, oh yeah, let me get that double and stuff. And we're like, Andy, this content cannot be out there. It's probably too late. That performance he had against Big Baby Miller in that Saudi card, which it seems like all of his fights are coming off of 2-year layoffs lately. I just feel like, for as fun as this Renaissance heavyweight era has been, and it's been massively fun. And by the way, Fury still says he will fight Anthony Josh no matter what before his career is over under any circumstance. It's great. Like the big matchup we didn't get, along with Wilder versus Joshua. I feel like Andy Ruiz would have been such a fun wild card in a lot of these matchups. Like, if you imagine the most prime version that could still be of Ruiz in recent years, I would have loved to have seen Usyk deal with that, Fury deal with that, like across the board, dude, right? Even an AJ trilogy at certain points actually would have made sense. I wish we could just get through to this guy that you're literally leaving like $50 million on the table here, because Downey Pizza won't stop luring you back in.
That pastrami pie is so damn good, though, BC. It's so good, the pastrami.
Told you no more Hope Solo jokes. I told you. Go ahead.
Look, I don't know. I think that prime or peak Andy Ruiz is purely a figment of our imagination. Have we ever seen him look anything close to that, where he was in what would even be his best fighting shape? Because if he lost all his weight, he might not even be heavyweight anymore on his frame.
Okay, but would you say the performances, like, didn't he have a title fight was it Parker, where he got of a raw deal on a close decision?
It was close. Yeah, and it was 12 rounds, and he managed to throw punches in all of them. But like,
Man, like
he was never in shape.
he looked okay against Luis Ortiz, but he got hit a lot there too, man. I
He
mean,
looked great against Tor Hamer.
yeah, he made him quit. He made that guy quit. I don't know. It's too is it too far gone? Because heavyweights have extra lives. Is it
Yes, it's too
never
far.
again?
He'll still
It's
be
never
able to
again.
make a buck every couple of years when he needs to, but too far gone for I look, let's hope that it's too far gone, because he shouldn't be. If he gets into that conversation, then we're looking at a terrible heavyweight era. And I like the
Yeah.
heavyweight era being great, like it's been for the last 5-10 years of our life. That's we, especially coming out of I don't mean to shade the Klitschko's too much, but the dark
Shade him.
years, like,
Shade him.
well, they were good fighters. I think they don't, we shit on them too much as actual, competitors. But
Justice for
it wasn't
Hayden or no?
fun. What?
Just justice for Hayden or no?
Well, yeah, it's true. I'm in favor of all hating, so it's okay.
All right. Shout out to Hayden Panettiere. I can't even believe
No,
she
no.
entered the
Oh, Hayden.
Klitschko
I
legacy.
meant
Hayden.
hating.
No, well, I know you love hating. Final question, somewhat loosely related to this. When I saw Bivol stepping up to Beterbiev in ways that I didn't think he could, it kind of reminded me of seeing Michael Spinks, be the light heavyweight champion and then move up 2 divisions and upset Larry Holmes twice and become the heavyweight king, the lineal, and Michael Spinks is an all-time great. Do you think Beterbiev or Bivol end up down the stretch at heavyweight? Because today I read a story that your boy El Turdo, Zurdo Ramirez, who will be fighting in that Saudi Latina Golden Boy card that will Latino that
night.
will have him in a cruiserweight title unification fight against Billum Smith. He says he's moving up to heavyweight next to chase history. Whether we're talking about Zurdo, Bivol, or Beterbiev, do you see heavyweight in their future like Usyk, Gassiev, and Bradis ended up doing?
No. I mean, certainly not like Usyk ended up doing. And even, I mean, like Gassiev had his career has never really come back after losing to Usyk in that, Super 6 championship fight. Briedis he really only went up to heavyweight to sleep Manuel Char, which was amazing. I mean, like that's just like a immortal knockout, and a little short uppercut. But he didn't really campaign there too much. So cruiserweights eventually going up to heavyweight. Yes, that makes sense. It is like we like it's not that far, right? They're right under the heavyweight limit. Are they still doing Bridgerweight? Is that bullshit?
2 of the 4 sanctioning bodies are, but I don't recognize it. Okay, I don't.
That's good. I'm glad. Let's try and make 2-1 and then 1-0. But like as far as going, so cruiserweights, it makes sense to eventually try their luck at heavyweight. Most of them don't do that well, right? I mean, I think Steve Cunningham had a lot to could be very proud of himself of the way he went up and was competitive and was a very good opponent at heavyweight. Had that great NBC fight with Amir Mansour. With they're both like crying at the end of the fight in the locker room together, bonding over I believe his daughter's doing well. Steve Cunningham. Anyway,
yes.
Like you could do there are. I don't know, Brian. Like cruiserweight makes sense, is what I'm saying, and it's worth it for the money. These guys, Bivol and Beterbiev, they're fighting at 175. I know that Beterbiev fought Usyk in the amateurs, but like that was but isn't the amateur real heavy, super heavy?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, there is a heavyweight and a super heavyweight division. This was that regular heavyweight, which I guess you could argue is borderline cruiser bridger territory anyway.
Yeah. But I think they would do. They're great fighters. I think they would do pretty well. Certainly get ranked. Beat some jobbers, or not jobbers, but beat some quality opponent. Mid-level contenders at heavyweight, and then they would fight one of whoever the good big man is of that moment, and it would just be too much size for them. It's too much.
Too much, too big. That's what they've been telling Safredi his whole acting career, but he still pulled it off. Good old Rocco right there.
Not really. Anyway, I don't really.
Yeah, I'm not into the man. He says, yeah, not his thing. But that mustache tells me differently. Man, that is so 80. The thing is, you can pull it off because when I was flirting, when I effed up my beard on Saturday.
I have follow-ups about your beard issue because Brian, the thing that I like about this story is you were somehow inspired. You're like, I want to do a Gervonta Davis type beard. What what made you look in the mirror that morning and say, I should be like Javante today? Like what were you playing with face filters? What is going on?
I was raised in a factory town with a river separating the town that was filled with so many dumped chemicals that you were told never to put your skin in it at any point. So I do like to believe that, I just have gaps in my realities here. And I've done this so many times, accidentally, like been like, oh, let me fade it up my, above my ear. And then I end up having to shave my whole head. I've screwed it up like crazy. I thought, man, let me just play with the beard a little bit, right? Play with the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Have some
And
fun
then
with it.
and then after I messed it up, I was like, okay, I still got a decently strong goatee going here. I was going to leave the goatee, but I'm like, it's black up here. It's gray down here. It's just not working. Then I thought, all right, let me see if I could pull a fun one on Rafe and come out with
Just
the
for
same
men?
stash that he is. But I had the stash for about 3 minutes. I walked around. I looked in the mirror a few times at different angles, and I'm like, I can't do it. It doesn't fit my face. It's not, it's not full and thick like what you're rocking for the 80s. And then I said I tried a thinner mustache, but I was getting World War II vibes, to be very
Yeah.
fair. So
More just like, you say you're going for an MJ Haynes commercial type thing,
yeah, that was a scary little stash he had there too. Very few of us are the type of man that can pull this off. I will say, jokes aside, you pull off a strong 80s stash right there. Is there an inspiration? Are you a big Selleck Magnum PI type fan? What is going on?
Look, I've seen some older women that G Bart, my daddy, has met over the years, and how
Nice.
they felt about Tom Selleck, and that does intrigue me, because like I like the look in these, like they get starry eyes when they talk about Tom Selleck, and imagine that mustache ride.
Oh my
I
God.
don't really like it. I don't love my mustache very much. I feel a little awkward with it. It's not. I committed. I said I'd wear it for a year. The truth is, I'm whipped. My wife loves it.
My wife.
My wife, she gets mad. Like I shaved it once. She was mad as fuck. Like I and I got nothing. I got nothing else to live for. So I might as well keep this right.
Well, you got the liquid crack to live for, but
No, that's
functionally,
what keeps me alive.
functionally, does it get in the way of eating, of life? What is it like?
Believe it or not, I do trim sometimes when it starts curling over the lips.
Yeah, it
No, I
gets a
don't
little
get too
weird.
much. I haven't gotten too much caught in there.
All right.
Yeah, some odors, sometimes. Yeah.
Odoriferous. All right, let's go to this weekend. I'm excited because I'm on the call Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, a PBC triple header, their first non-pay-per-view card of the Prime Video era. It'll air to Amazon subscribers there. And it's going to be Tim Tszyu, fresh off that loss to Sebastian Fundora, where he lost his title in their unification match, but had one of the most vicious hairline cuts on that vein that does not stop bleeding. Fought through it like a man with blood in his eyes, lost a close decision, but he's back in a title fight against unbeaten IBF champion Bakram Murtazaliev from Russia, who, if you're wondering how he got here, earlier this year, he went to Germany, fought Jack Colquet, knocked him out in the 11th round. And I got to add this in from the fighter interviews that I did yesterday ahead of this with my broadcasting colleagues. You may know some of them: Brian Custer, Keith One Time Thurman, Jordan Plant, Claudia Trejo. Shout out to the crew there. Bakram said he took that fight during Ramadan, so he wasn't eating or drinking all day. He would then train from like midnight to 2 p.m. and then again from 3 to 5 a.m. Was allowed to eat and drink very little. His management team was trying to get him to drop the fight, but it was a title fight. It was the opportunity he had waited on for 4 years when he was the number one for Jermell Charlo, but they kept saying, no, Charlo's got, unification. He's got the rematch with Castano, all that. Dude, and then his trainer wasn't allowed in the country due to visa issues, and he went in there and knocked the dude out in the 11th round. So some people are like, hey, I saw that tape. He's basic. He's coming out and trying to basically say that was the most barbaric instinct version of me, and I still won the title. How much respect do you have for doing what that man did to get to this point entering Saturday night?
I have a lot of respect for what he went through training and trying to push through with the fight, take that opportunity that he knew might be his best shot and leading to this opportunity against Tim Tszyu. That's a great story. But as terms of like, wow, and you did all that to overcome Jack Colquet. Like, come on.
Come on, you know how hard it is.
I have a soft spot, man. He really hurt. Didn't he have Boo Boo hurt at the end of their fight, or was it Derevyanchenko?
One of those two. Yeah, but dude, you know how hard it is in boxing history. Think Felix Sturm, guys like that, to go to Germany in a title fight and get a decision in somebody's backyard.
But this is not a guy with the backing of Felix Sturm. This is Jack Colquet. He's a career opponent. He's a very solid fighter. He handles himself well. He tests extreme. He has given good tests to a lot of very good fighters. But yeah, he has got a lot of miles on those treads. If I don't know, like beating Jack Colquet is just not going to tell anyone much under any circumstances, other than, okay, you belong at the title level. And also, I don't know, how much does he have, does Jack, what is this, Golden Jack Colquet have left at this point?
I'm with you on that. And by the way, even with that hard ability to get decisions there, when he stopped Colquet in the 11th round, Murtazaliev was up 99-91, 96-94, and then down 96-95 on the third. So he's up on 2 or 3 scorecards.
How much work are you going to put in on Murtazaliev over the next few days before the
to
end
get that pronunciation right?
Yeah, so you're not being like a little mozzarella on it.
Yeah. So look, he's the champion coming in. He's promoted by Main Events. He's managed by Igor Klimas, manager Sergey Kovalev. But the big story is obviously about Tim Tszyu. So let me add in this factoid I uncovered in the fighter meetings to see if this jazzes you up at all. You may have seen that coming off of the loss to Fundora, that Tszyu reunited with his dad, the Hall of Famer Kostya Tszyu. It's not like they're estranged. They get along great, but to let people know, Kostya Tszyu lives in Russia, where he grew up. Tim Tszyu lives in Australia, where he grew up. His parents got divorced. Kostya went back to Russia. His dad was in attendance for his pro debut, but that's it. And every time Tim has a fight, I always usually ask him in interviews. He's like, no, my dad's not coming, but we get along great. He's fine. After the loss, dad reached out to son and basically was like, hey, let's get together. Let's work together. They did kind of a mini father-son camp where they worked on stuff in the ring, hung out. And what Tim is saying is we reconnected. So we said to him, look, is he going to be at this fight on Saturday? And he's like, he is. We're like, is he going to be like your trainer or your chief strategist? He's like, no, he's just going to be there for support. But
I heard it only costs $1 to get in.
Yeah, I heard that too. But he might be walking him to the ring. We're going to see Kostya. And basically what Tim said is, my dad never wanted to put the spotlight on himself when it's about me and my brother Nikita fighting, but he thinks his dad's going to finally have that father-son moment where he doesn't come into that ring or that arena as ex-Hall of Famer. He comes in there as dada. Does that get you fired up like I am, or am I just too close to the event because I can't wait to get paid to call these fights?
How can you not be a little bit fired up for it? I mean, I think most of us, a lot of boxing fans have just a lot of love for Kostya Tszyu. He was a great fighter. He was fun to watch. He had incredible power. And the Zab Judah fight is one of those ones that is more. Obviously, was not a great fight, but that knockout, the melee afterwards, Zab Judah dancing, going after Jay Nady. It was a fantastic moment, and Kostya is also the owner of, or the progenitor of, one of my favorite sound bites ever, which is, Jim Gray not really giving him enough respect in the ring ahead of that Zab Judah fight when they were trying to lead up to it, and he's like, please do not be rude to me. It's just like no nonsense with that man. It's kind of hard to put ourselves inside the relationship he has with his sons. I hope that the way they describe it is right, and that he's sort of just shy and stepping back, and is now wants to be around a little more.
I think
if
they
it
had a
was,
messy divorce. I think that
yeah,
might be fuel for why they're not crazy close. I think the parents had a bad divorce. That's my 2 cents, you know?
yeah, maybe maybe she's in Kate Beevil's ear now.
Oh
Um,
boy.
yeah.
Oh boy. Here we go. Look, this fight screams based on their styles, all action. And we know that if Tim Tszyu picks up this IBF belt, Fundora might defend against Spence, although it seems like one of the sanctioning bodies won't rank Spence, so he'd have to drop one of the belts. We do have because Crawford not only has the belt he won from Madrimov, but he's the super champion in another alphabet body that they're trying to make essentially Fundora versus Crawford, or now they might be trying to make Tim Tszyu. All I'm saying is we know if Tim Tszyu wins this fight and gets a title, his next opponents could be one of the four: Crawford, Fundora, Spence, or Jermell Charlo. Does that get you fired up for what's actually going on right now at 154?
Yeah, I mean, of course, why not? I mean, I think that seeing, Crawford return, I mean, I'm kind of still hoping he gets the Canelo fight next, whenever that, if that's a possibility. Please, Turkey, make up, you can do it.
Yeah,
Um,
you have the
your
cashola. Please.
Excellency, be excellent. Uh, but in any case, seeing I like seeing Crawford, seeing what Charlo and Spence have left, like if they're still committed to the sport, and if they are, I see no reason why they still wouldn't be excellent fighters. See, and Tim's adding Tim Tszyu to that mix. Hell yes, I definitely want it. Virgil Ortiz, Boachuk is going to be around,
Oh
to
yeah.
make great fights against anyone and lose them all, which is we need guys like that.
Oh wow, that's a
Yo,
shot.
I'm
That's a
sorry.
shot.
Let's
Do
not
you
get
are you
overboard with
Can I
Sergey.
pause you? Are you fired up like I am for what is it? Madrimal versus Boachuk is the co-main to Usyk-Fury II in
Oh yeah,
December.
why not? I mean,
Bombs
I
away.
yeah, well, I mean, Majimov is not going to bomb away with anyone, right? He's a mover, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see him deal with that pressure for sure.
Okay.
And because Boachuk is not a very easy person to deter, and he's going to be trying to get in that ass. I mean, we like
Indeed.
those kind of fights. And I like. I mean, you had a little you sniped a little bit. I don't know if you were doing it in earnest or just because it's a sentiment that exists out there in the boxing world. But like Terrence Crawford not just washing Madrimov was somehow a step down for him. I don't think. I mean, Madrimov, he's always looked like a very talented fighter and who can importantly with when with fighting Crawford wasn't going to be overwhelmed by his quickness or athleticism. And I thought I enjoyed sort of watching them. It was a slower fight, but it was cool
Oh, Bud
watching
had a
them.
dig. Bud
Yeah,
had a dig to win that, and I
yeah.
liked it. I liked him showing that. This division's fun. It's wild. And don't forget that Tszyu was supposed to face Virgil Ortiz in August on that Turkey Supercard in LA. The cut wasn't healed. Then he was going to come back in September against Lubin, and then Lubin pulled out. There is rumors from No Limit Boxing, the promoter of Tszyu, that he could come back in December in Australia if he gets past Murtazaliev, and then we could see him back in like a really big fight to start 25. But this is where Tim Tszyu is at. He's a major player in this division. If we imagine that there's a tournament with all those names we talk about, do you think Tszyu can make the finals of that tournament?
I think he can make the finals, and we still. We still have a lot to learn against, the very, very best that 154 has to offer. But he was on the way to passing every test. I mean, he certainly looked good before the cut in that Fundora fight. And I think I think most fans feel that we've probably seen Fundora's ceiling. Like we know that he's very good. He will, he's able to be a belt holder. He's fun as hell to watch. It's just sort of like this, just banging praying mantis in the ring. It's all that's all fun and good, but he's not Crawford, Spence, Madrimov, Charlo. It would be interesting to see how Tszyu holds up at that level. And certainly I think his power, his poise, his ability to be precise with shots that really hurt opponents, I think that he would be competitive in those fights. I don't know if I would favor him immediately, but and he'd also have agent on his side. He might, he's such an interesting career case now because of he's he's doing all the things that fans say they want. He's so active. He's looking to fight 3-4 times a year. He's calling out, big names, not always getting them, but he fought through this crazy injury that he could have probably just, stopped after 4 rounds and won on the cards.
Yeah.
He,
Or had a no contest, and
right.
He could have kept his belt many ways.
He had 15, ways that people really wouldn't even blamed him of taking advantage of to get out of that fight, and he just stuck with it. And it was still a pretty close fight. And so and it'd be interesting just to see how that affects him, because all of a sudden you're not undefeated. He has to go win the belt back. Some of the leverage he came in with, it goes away. It's not fair at all, but that's just the game. Like once you have that loss, it's a little, and as a fighter who is Australian and not maybe not the priority of American promoters, will he get back in sort of like, will he get the push to get those opportunities and be able to prove himself in that way? God, I hope so. Because without that, I think without him pushing the agenda, fighting often, looking good, having, if he wins on over the weekend and has a belt and being able to sort of, keep pressure on the other guys in the division, there are older fighters who've already proven a lot and will probably be happy to just, fight a few more times, maybe get Danny Garcia to show up, beat him, stuff like that, and walk away with a lot of money. When and props to them if they pull that off too. But I think Tim Tszyu will be a big factor in pushing the bigger names and the best fights to happen at that division. I hope he succeeds.
Yeah, he's good. He's tough as shit. He's ambitious. He said that he can make 54 easily, that he'll hang around in this division for as long as the big opportunities are available. But he said, I see myself actively competing at 60 and 68 against the best in the world eventually. 68 is a leap. Do you see him having the skills, power, body type, and boxing ability to lean back on if we're really talking about him going to 68 eventually and fighting, Canelo type names?
Well, it's basically, I think that's the question. Do we think that Tim Tszyu is ultimately going to pan out as a Canelo level talent to go? Because he's probably taller than Canelo. So, that's a sign that, he's not going to be too small, but Canelo's a very special fighter. I think it will basically be, will his power carry up, and will he be able to, to keep bigger fighters honest at middleweight and eventually 168. I would be dubious of that actually happening, but we've seen Canelo do it, and also it's also a little bit about planning the career in the right way, seeing where the weaker champions are, right, Canelo?
Indeed. Tim Tszyu, his full given Russian name, Timofey Konstantinovich Tszyu. That makes him seem even tougher and more old world. I think he should drop the Aussie connection, even though it's where he was, it's where he was raised, and just go full on. I am Russian. I am cyborg. I am here to win and kill.
The Aussie badass thing is not a bad label to come in with.
Name another Aussie badass, please.
Wash heel,
Jared Flesher.
Well,
the shapeshifter,
Isaac Hodman, Jeff Horn. All right, Jeff Horn did fight like a tough gang member. Okay.
Yeah, right, Jeffrey.
Look, he had balls, man. People don't give Horn enough credit. He could, he was horned up when he was in the ring, fighting with Glenn Thrush, whatever. Not Glenn Thrush is a New York Times reporter. Look, I still think that he embodied when he fighting through that cut, embodied the Dean Lonergan school of, just bang it full of cortisone or quarters. We never really cleared that up. Just bang it full of quarters and get on with it.
Would you be, if I could get an obscure Down Under podcast interview with Dean Lonergan, ex-rugby star of Duco Events, the ex-promoter there, Jeff Horn.
I want Higgins too.
Where we only really want to talk to him so we can play that bang it full of cortisone soundbite. And by the way, yes, sound drops are coming. I got the soundboard. It works, but I got to figure out connection-wise how to get it. But I do have it on there. All I want to do interview-wise on this program is interview as ridiculously obscure people that'll be hilarious as we can. Like Richard Dwyer, who you once jacked on our famous interview. Infamous, famous.
Well, yeah, it could a little bit of both.
Why did you jack?
We've been over this, Brian. I feel like
I'm not over it though. I'm not over it.
We've been over it. The Dwyerverse should exist in its own realm. You don't want to meet your heroes, you know? You're all of a sudden you're just talking to this man like you're talking to this man. And it doesn't feel the same as like all of the mysteries behind Dwyer and his YouTube presence. What is with the weird AI backgrounds that he's using now? Where is he living these days? What's up with his blinds and the cats that he used to have?
And the toads.
Is his family good?
Toads.
Yeah.
I was like, did he get divorced? I need more Dwyer.
Now you see him talking in front of like an AI image of like a weird cartoon girl, or sometimes it'd be like Dwyer boxing on a film marquee behind him. Like these things are all amazing and hilarious, but they're more fun to think about and imagine what the hell is going on with that guy. Once you learn, you don't want to know too much.
So you're saying if I track down Jason Litzau, I would be very disappointed.
No, that's different. Litzau's going to have stories.
Okay, what about if I track down the man in the black hat from Con Peterson? Washington,
I mean, he's one of boxing's greatest villains, and we need to get to the bottom of that.
All right. I'm just so happy that you and I are back inside the box where we belong. And you know what? We're starting to put a little traffic together. We're starting to people are starting to go, you know what? These two weird guys, they got something here. Hey, guess what, people? We always had something here. Okay. It's just that boxing podcasting is one of the least fruitful endeavors that you can ever go down.
I've done all the non-fruitful endeavors, and boxing podcasting was pretty low on the list.
But you would argue some of the most fun work you've ever done.
You see me, I came right back to the well and did it again. You know,
there it is.
There it is. Pulled me right back in. I didn't resist at all.
Let me give you the 4 places you've lived in your life.
The foreplay?
Yeah, the foreplay. Manhattan Island. Right?
Yes. Born and raised in New York. Well, I was born in New York Hospital, not raised.
Eagle Rock, LA.
Yeah.
Philippines.
Yes. Mostly living in Quezon City, Katipunan area.
And like hardcore Detroit.
Not hardcore Detroit. I've never lived in Detroit proper. I've always been living in the suburbs.
You were kind of like 7.5 mile, right?
No, 9 mile. After 8 Mile, it's not Detroit. I'm not fronting here.
How would you rank those at this point in your life? You're about what? I'm 46. I would guess you're 41.
2.
You're 42. Wow, you don't have any grays in that mustache. Should we be suspect?
No, that shit is legit, man. You think I can get that together? I'm terrible at this stuff.
Yeah, you don't. I like that you don't agree with certain bullshit in life. You know, you're like, I'm not dyeing the hair. I'm not. You know. How would you rank those in terms of everything, all encompassing?
Look, I love living in the Philippines the most. I would if it somehow made sense to go back there and live, I would. I would be a weird retiree.
It's sweaty there though. It's really sweaty.
It's gross. It's gross in a lot of ways. I do feel it when I go, when I was back earlier this year, it's a lot easier to get around when you're a young man, and I'm still doing it, but it takes more out of you when you're, just slogging through 90-degree weather with 100% humidity and waiting on crowded train platforms, squeezing into jeepneys, because I commute. And I've never had a car or a driver there. I'm on the train, I'm on the Jeep, I'm on the tricycle. So, and that's, wow. I love the activity. Also, like, this is what I say, like, this is not to like get all like political science, the polarization of modern American or atomization of modern American life, blah, 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 blah. But I will go back to the neighborhood I lived in Quezon City, in Metro Manila. I will go back there, every time I'm back, almost every year. And I haven't lived there full time since 2009. I see people who still know my name, who still as soon as they see me, I'm like, hi,
what do they call you? They call you Joe? They call you Joe, right?
Sometimes, but not the ones who know me. Joe is just what you call any like foreign white person.
Great, yeah, gringo.
Cano, stuff like foreigner. But like I see people, and I see people who I knew as children living in the neighborhood, inheriting their parents' tricycles and stores on the street, and It's crazy. Like in a weird way, I feel a different sense of community there than I do almost anywhere. It's like walking into McSorley's, in New York.
Wow. Be good or be gone on that
Where
theory.
I've known people my entire life.
What
And
I love about Filipino culture the most is that they try to lower the syllables of any word or sentence to as few as possible. It's like we're all like Manny Pacquiao, and you're like Pacquiao. And then, we're like Quezon City, and they're like Quezon City.
I hear you, but actually,
They got time for those extra syllables, okay?
well, no, that's the thing. One of the hardest things in learning Tagalog for English speakers is that you do pronounce, like when vowels are stacked up next to each other, you pronounce each one individually. So the word for foot, pa'a, is P-A-A. It's not pa'a. Anything like, the tongue twisters like nakakapag papagabag, so there are a lot of syllables.
No.
You just
No.
yeah.
No. It's Danny's night, please. I want to do some things on this channel with you, like watch old fights and figure out the way to present that technologically the best. But the real watch along that I'd love to do with you is people don't know that you once starred in a Filipino TV novella soap opera called Bakagong. You were a guest star, and that you put hands on women in that episode.
I look. You might say I had some Bevo like hand speed in that.
Oh boy, that's unfair. Is that still on YouTube?
I may have I might have been the person who originally put some of those clips on YouTube, and I may have since amended that, because some of that stuff I just feared too much. Now I probably don't care. Like,
it hasn't aged well.
There's not much for me to lose at this point. But like, and not much for me to gain career wise. I'm busy, like, I'm taking what I'm getting from here on out. But so it might not matter anymore. But there was a time where I was like, man, I don't want it. I don't want this thing that I'm not. I am happy that I did. But it is completely offensive. I don't want that.
What was your character's name in that episode?
Brad.
So Brad, tell me if I'm missing any grievances here.
You might need a whole episode for this, but go ahead.
He slapped a woman. He engaged in a threesome and then kicked the woman out of bed angrily. What other things did he do that hasn't aged well?
He was very, very derisive of that woman. Used what I would call slurs against her.
Oh boy.
While kicking her out of bed. And
oh boy, do you keep in touch with
that? Not me, but me playing Brad threatened to kill Bakram when she showed up at my door. Yeah,
that's when I keep in touch with the man.
Like, if you ever come back, I will kill
you. The man that you had the threesome with on the episode, did you keep in touch with him?
I did. No, I did. Our friend Tuan died a few years ago in Cebu.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he passed away. It was just during the pandemic. But it was very, it was sad. This guy we played ball with, like, all the time,
bro. Yeah.
And was a big part of a bunch of people's lives in Manila and Cebu and other places he lived in the Philippines.
I feel the same way about Tim Lane. R.I.P. He did give us some joy, right?
He let me out the cage. I wasn't me until I got to come out that cage.
Well, I appreciate you being honest about your back sins, even if they came under the acting guise of Brad on the Bakakong soap opera series, right? Bakakong. Is that still active, that show?
No. I mean, the way that the soap operas, it's sort of like if you've watched much, it's teleserie in the Philippines, telenovelas in Latin American countries. Basically, it's every day for about 3 to 6 months. Or 5 days a week. There's a new episode, and they go through a long story arc and then end it, and then a new show will come up and be like the thing that everyone watches after that. So they have shorter lengths, but they do come back. I think Bakekang has been remade at least once since 2007, which was when
I'd love to play Brad. I would. Just give me that opportunity.
I was not chosen for any qualities as an actor. In fact, I was terrible. But I was a tall American white guy, which was exactly what they needed for that role. So if really all you got to do is be there, and you could get cast as a very clueless foreigner in a TV show.
Well, to close, recapping your fantastic cinematic career, you have hosted some like legit TV shows in English in the Philippines on CNN and stuff. Do you have a future, any projects coming up for Filipino TV?
I wish nothing on the books. I still work with the production company that did both of those shows. They were called Pinoy Hoops on National Geographic Philippines, and then Hoop Nation on CNN Philippines a few years later. Both were like, sort of Anthony Bourdain style docuseries, traveling around the country and telling different basketball stories. I love doing that. I mean, that stuff was great. So we've pitched a few times, haven't caught on, which we've tried with Netflix. I don't know if I will go back. Look, I will figure out a way to go back. Also,
I got it. You're gonna find the next Manny Pacquiao. You're gonna tell the story of how Manny Pacquiao, you were already a boxing fan, but when Pacquiao became Pacquiao and you were already studying in the Philippines, it just injected you with this addiction that hasn't been scratched yet. So now you and Bobby Pacquiao and possibly even Boo Boy will then go try to find the next Manny Pacquiao in these small villages. What do you think?
I don't know if they need me for that show, but I would be happy to play a role if I were called upon.
There we go.
Bobby, it's not a blow. It's not a
blow at all. Wow. And just to close, you and Becky Gong, the actress, did not consummate after that episode, right?
No, she was the star. It's just kind of thing where they have all of us dudes or whoever else hanging around on set, for hours, and then all of a sudden, like, the star shows up and nails everything in 5 minutes. We're looking around clueless, and that's that they're celebrities for a reason, and we're borderline extras.
And you and I are co-hosting a show called Inside the Box. There we go. That's the full circle turn. Thank you for watching. Rafe, anything you want to sell, promote?
Same as always, man. If you like to read, I've written some books. Pacific Rims about Philippine basketball, which will turn 15 next year.
Ooh.
Crazy. No, yeah. And then mixed 2 and 2. McSorley's My Dad and Me, which is about a bar I grew up in.
Great book over there, McSorley's. One day we should film in McSorley. Is that even possible? You once did a really nice walk around. Was that on American CNN, right? Didn't you do that?
Yeah, that was cool. We got it. It was a live, I think, on Facebook at the time.
I watched that. Yes,
they were good. Like the crew, the CNN. That was the one where they were right. They showed my dad, and they're like, and people were commenting like, "Is that Heisenberg?" Because my dad had a little as a sort of Bryan Cranston Breaking Bad look.
Indeed. Shout out to G Bart. Thanks for tuning in. That's Rafe Buggs, your boy BC. Like and subscribe to everything going on here at the BCX. I don't even know when this is coming out soon, Rafe, but hopefully the people that ingested it and enjoyed it. We'll be back next week to recap Tim Tszyu. What other fights are on the horizon? I don't know. I didn't ask if you cared this weekend, but we'll find out eventually. There we go. Inside the Box, over and out.